I love helping.
Why?
Why?
What about helping people? Because it's not a common trait. I mean, people like to say, I like to help others, but I mean, most of the time it's disadvantageous to yourself. It's hindering your progress if you take your time to help others. So what about going the extra mile to help somebody else appeals to you?
So I always had that self-conflict of at what point am I trying to help people before myself?
Hmm.
And it took me about until last year when I finally decided, look, I'm spending more energy on trying to fix someone else's problem where I forgot about myself and I got myself in a pretty dark spot.
Hmm.
And I had, thankfully, I had a good support system behind me to get me out of that dark place and help me create these skills where I can feel comfortable helping other people, but I
Yeah.
know my limits of putting energy into other people that I have to put into myself. And why I like helping people, I want to say that's how I was raised. My parents did a great job. Um, come from a Jewish background where there's a very solid foundation of morals. Gimilut Hasadim, some Hebrew for you. Do good unto others.
Hmm.
Um, I always feel like it was ingrained in me, not
Yeah.
necessarily like you have to, but you should. And I've always been a rule follower. Aiden Brutman and breaking the rules have never really gone together. Now I like to have fun. I go out there and sure I've jumped off bridges and whatnot, but that's not that doesn't go against what I believe in. I believe
Yeah.
in doing good because good makes the world go round.
Hmm. That it makes sense, man, because you've got one of those personalities that you do make people feel good. I don't know if it's just your positive mindset or your positive. I don't know if it's your mindset, but your positive expression onto others. But you make everybody feel like they're important when you talk to them. I don't know how you do that. I don't know if it's intentional, but you do.
I clap for my parents. Like I said, I have an amazing support system.
Yeah.
I've been raised in a very stable household, but um, in a very unstable way. So you have your adversity, but you still have that support system,
Hmm.
and it's incredible. It, I don't look at myself the way you look at me, but that doesn't mean what you're saying is wrong. It doesn't mean what I'm saying is wrong. What it means is everyone has a different view.
Yeah, I don't think anybody looks at themselves the same way that outsiders look at themselves.
My biggest thing was I've had a lot of injuries,
Yeah.
and people looking at me, I do have a stable family life, and I'm so thankful for it. My parents are happily married for about 20 years now, and I I am exactly the uh, the product of that marriage.
Hmm.
Um, so I do give my parents credit for who I've become. Now that doesn't mean through my injuries and through my adversities I haven't grown as myself without guidance. But a lot of people look in and see this kid has such a good family life. What could ever go wrong? Why? He's obviously a good kid because nothing's ever gone wrong in his life.
Yeah.
But then people are like, are we talking about the same person? Do you know this Aiden Brutman, the kid that is now 0 for 3 on lacrosse seasons? He's been on varsity since freshman year, but he's played a total of 5 games. He's going into his senior year 0 for 3 on lacrosse seasons. He has 17 broken bones at the age of 17. And you see him out on the lacrosse field on the sideline, you're like, oh, it's just the Brutman special. Of course he's hurt. Oh, are you ever healthy? No, I'm not healthy. And I've gotten so comfortable with the fact that it's okay when you're down, you know. It's okay to be down. It's okay to be hurt. You will lose out on things in life, and that is just how it goes. You
Hmm.
signed up to play a contact sport, you will get hurt. Now, maybe I've had a worse run than others, but that's only built me up more. And a lot of people are like, I always try to find the positive and the negative. But the people that are saying it typically don't. The people that try to find the positive and the negative are looking too hard.
Yeah.
I just let the positive find me. I let the
Huh.
positive find me.
You're making me think like 5 minutes into this, man, like hard, because that, what you say checks a lot of boxes that I've always thought about people in general. And that's some type of adversity, whatever that may be, will make you a better person. It will. It just will. And I think people don't understand that adversity comes in all shapes and sizes and in all different types of lifestyles. You could look at either one of us and go, both these kids live in Newport Beach with great families. They both come from, they never had to struggle for anything in their life.
Right.
When it comes to finance or hunger or anything like that.
And we
But
haven't.
we haven't. No, and I'm 100% on board with you. I've come from a family that has given me everything I've needed to succeed, but I've struggled with mental health issues since as long as I can remember, before I even know what a mental health issue was. And through certain, I've struggled with obesity, I've struggled with eating disorders, I've struggled with all sorts of shit, but nothing about what I've been through do I go, man, I wish that didn't happen. Everything I've been through, I go, that's making me the person I am today. And I'm so glad that it did happen. Because without it, all those stereotypical things that you'd point at, that would be just my reality. You know what I mean?
And this is where we're very similar. And I know we spoke on the phone about stuff like this not too long ago, but we approach life in a very similar manner where we're okay with the downs. But when we're up, we ride the ups.
Yeah.
We love the ups, but when we're down, we learn. That's when we are getting better.
Yeah.
And the mental health thing, it's so real. It really is so real. I'm a huge proponent of therapy, and I know we've talked about this. I've been in therapy since probably 6 years old. Six
That's
years old.
important. That's important for people to hear, man, because when you first told me that, I, I, I I don't have this negative stigma on therapy, and I think people should go. But to me, it's always been something like, if I go, I'm admitting that there's a problem, and I never want to admit there's a problem, because once I feel like I admit once I found I had OCD, I found myself going, oh, well, maybe I found my parents and other people saying, well, it's okay, it's just your OCD, and then I'd be like, am I leaning on this as a crutch? Am I resorting to this? So when I admit that there's a problem, I feel like it's a tendency for me to obsess on that problem and then use it as a crutch. So I have a hard time admitting that it's okay to do something like therapy without saying that I have a major issue. But coming from someone like you, or coming from someone that I admire and respect that is my age, I go, well, maybe you do know a little bit more than me about how to create a stable mindset.
Well, I mean, the first thing to solving any problem, whether it's a mental health issue or a physical issue or solving a problem in math class, the first step is always identifying the problem, right?
Yeah.
So when we're here and we're struggling focusing, we're here, we're struggling to keep our hands still, our legs are tapping. The first step is to identify the problem. We can't come up with a solution in anything in this world without identifying the problem. The scientific design process, the first step, identify the problem. The people that are building the most incredible buildings in the world all start with the same thing. What is the problem? What are we trying to solve? There we go. And I am a firm believer in the scientific design method. It in all aspects in life.
Mm-hmm.
It's people have it as 8 steps, 5 steps, regardless of what it is. identify the problem, hypothesize, test it, right? Come up with your solution and restart if that doesn't work. It works. It's 5 simple steps to keep you on track in life and everything, no matter what it is.
Do you approach everything in a very technical manner then?
So I used to live my life very black and white, where there was no gray middle ground. Everything was by the book, super technical.
Yeah.
And that was one thing my mom always harped on me about. I'm like, why are you getting so mad that I did something? I'm doing the right thing. I'm doing the right thing. She's like, Aiden, I'm so glad you're doing the right thing. I'm so glad that you learned that from me and I was able to instill that in you. But I want to teach you one more thing. In life, it is not black. It is not white. There is that gray zone. Sometimes you have to blend between the wrong thing and the right thing to really be doing the right thing. It's not yes or no.
Like you said before about that, you would try to help everybody, and in your head that was doing the right thing, but since you were harming yourself, is it really the right thing?
Exactly. Great connection. Yeah, I mean, what really got me, and I really think I've grown a lot in the past year. And not necessarily, of course, we all went through the whole COVID thing and whatnot. And I'm one of those Newport kids that's here like unaffected by most of it, right? To me, it was a nice little break from school, a nice little mental health break, right? And obviously, I know that's not the case for everyone in this world. I know it was a very hard time. People lost their jobs. I got a job because of the coronavirus. I didn't lose a job, you know? I'm on the exact opposite of what was going on. Granted, my mom was one of the first people around here to get the virus, and we were very.
So it's your fault? No, I'm just kidding.
Exactly, right? It was our fault. Nobody else in the house got the virus besides my mom.
Really?
And she got it February of 2019.
Okay, so early, yeah.
Or was it 2020? I don't know when it was. February 2020. Well, way off, a year off. One of the first, right?
Yeah.
And I'm working out in this gym, and I got addicted to weightlifting and whatnot. I love it. Hey. And a doctor comes into the gym one day when I'm lifting with my trainer, and we're talking about the coronavirus and whatnot. And he was telling me he had it that November. So November 2019, he had it. And everyone in the US was like, oh, the virus is here. And it's February. It's March. We got shut down, what, like late February, early March 10th or something like that?
Yeah, it was after spring break. So I think it was in March, yeah.
Yeah, and it was crazy to me because I feel like the only person at the school that was like bringing attention to it was my Spanish teacher. Every single class, we didn't learn Spanish. And you know what? Mr. Reyes is an amazing guy. I really hope your surgery goes well if you see this. I know you got into another car accident. I'll tell you this, I'm backing you up right now on this. No one was listening to you except for the students in your class. He would show us the news on the virus every single day. We walked into the class for the first 30 minutes. We would talk about it. We would say, what are we going to do as individuals in this community to make sure we stay safe?
Yeah.
The school board many times, and they said, we're not doing anything about it. 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 And then they had to do something about it. And if you don't remember, we were one of the last schools to get shut down.
I do remember.
And I remember we were about to board the bus for an away game. We all just got sweatsuits for lacrosse. JV team already went down to San Clemente. We're sitting in the rain, ready to get on the bus, and our coach comes up and says, we're not going. And we're all just in tears. Like, we knew what was going on.
Yeah.
We knew we weren't going to have a season. And I don't know why I'm all the way over here now, but we're talking about lacrosse getting canceled. I just remember the tears in the seniors' eyes, and it was It was devastating. We really had a chance to make a run that year, and um, I know your brother played, and I had a great time being able to watch him on the sideline because of my injuries. And I
I
wish,
actually have a picture of him right over here, and I also have one behind me of him flipping everybody off. By the way, but speaking of lacrosse, man, and that whole environment, I never felt that connection with sports. I tried them. I mean, my family is the biggest sports family on planet Earth, and my brother played sports since the day he popped out of the womb. And I, on the other hand, always did play sports, but I never liked it. I never fit in most of the time because I was a fat kid just spinning my lacrosse stick on the side of the thing like a baton because I'd rather be playing with lightsabers than playing lacrosse. And I just didn't love that. I don't know if it was the team, and I don't know. I didn't love it. So then I found theater, and I go, this is my home. This and bodybuilding is where I'm going to go all out and I found my passion. And I never really understood the sports commitment. Maybe that's the word I'm looking for, because you've had more dings in you than the DeLorean from Back to the Future. And what about lacrosse and sports makes you go, that's okay, I'm going to keep going back to this even though it's continuing to harm myself?
it's being on the field. I had
Okay.
this conversation with my dad today when we were leaving after our Battle of the Bay tragic loss. Um, we had the conversation. He's like, the field really seems to be your happy place. Right now, I'm dealing with a concussion for over a month, and I was on the field and I was headache free. I was headache free. Yeah, I had taken two Motrin before I went, but I can't say I've been headache free at all this entire month. My dad does the scoring table, so he's able to watch me interact with everyone on the sideline. He's like, even though you're not playing, you are still so into it. I can tell every little bit of your heart is on that field. Now, I only have a few places where I can say I'm in my happy place. That's on a lacrosse field, on, in, or under the water, you know,
Yeah.
or in the gym. And, I've never gone into the bodybuilding scene. I lift to stay athletic, if you will,
Hmm.
just to stay in decent shape, never to really gain massive size. But it's just, I think it's really important that people find their happy place. Find a few things that make you happy. And I know for you, it's on the stage, it's
I was
performing.
just gonna
For
say,
me, on
man,
the
that's
field is when I'm on the field, I'm performing. I
hmm
want to put on a show. I want to prove to everyone that's ever said, "Hey, you know what? You're 5'6". You're sub 160 pounds. What are you gonna do better than me standing at 6'2", 185?" I'm like, I don't know, but I'll try to show you.
I
Maybe I can't put it in words, but I'll try to show you. There's a difference between playing with heart and muscle. Like, heart is one thing. Heart is good. Playing
mhm.
with muscle, like pure muscling through, you're not gonna get much done.
No, I
But
agree. I agree.
there's a level of finesse, you know,
Mm.
and all the surfers out there will relate to this. You're surfing, you're in the lineup, and you're about to paddle into a wave. If you're trying to muscle your way in, slapping at the water while you're paddling into the wave, you're not going to get very far. But if you have that finesse, the calm, patience demeanor, you paddle hard, but you're not slapping the water. You're making nice, easy strokes all the way through. You're the one getting into the wave, not the guy trying to muscle his way slapping the water. And that can be reflected across sports and life.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's all about the approach and being comfortable while you're approaching.
Seems like you have to care, and I think that's that determining factor that separates those that succeed long term, or not even just succeed. I feel like success is finding love in it, right? If you find that you love it and you want to do it every day for the rest of your life, or you just find some type of happiness, it's your happy place. that comes from, you have to care in order to take it to the furthest level. Like if I go to the gym, right, I don't need to take my hoodie off. I'm perfectly comfortable working out in sweats and a hoodie. Sometimes I get hot, and I do, but I'm not doing it for the people that drive me up the wall when they can't do more than one set without looking at their abs because they started working out 2 days ago. Stop it. Sorry, but not you. You're fine. But the people at the gym drive me nuts. But it's I think it's that it's not their happy place necessarily. They're doing it for an end goal. They're muscling through it. I'm in there because I'm going, if I don't do this to my absolute maximum capacity, I hate the person that I am. I don't like the person I am without that release. And so my focus is in a different area. This is the spot of my day that I feel the best. Unless I'm working on a set or working on stage, time doesn't exist when I'm doing that. Time doesn't register. I'm not in my head overthinking things. There's the only two spots that I really just let go, and I am there and I am happy. And I think that's what life is all about. Finding those things
It's so
that make
important.
you right.
So important. I was fortunate enough to be in the right place at the right time. Ever since I was really young, I always wanted a boat. Always wanted a boat. My dad pretty much promised to me, "You're not getting a boat. You know, it's a headache. You're not going to take care of it." Fortunately, our friends had just blown out an engine on their boat, and they weren't really willing to repower it and redo everything. And we were able to make a deal. We'll buy a new engine. We'll do all the repowering. We'll fix everything up. 50% of the boat. You keep the other 50%. We'll be partners. Right place, right time. This was last summer during the whole coronavirus thing. Perfect timing. I got to develop new skills and develop a passion for the water, grow the passion for the water. That's my happy place. Now, when I don't feel good, when I really just need that release and I can't go to the gym and I can't play lacrosse, I go sit on my boat. I go do something I need to do. If the boat needs to be washed, I'll go wash the boat. I'll go scrub it. I don't care. That's a release to me. Go do some new wiring, put in some new lights, add some speakers, whatever it is. That's a release. And it is so important to find those things in your life. They're not escapes. You're not escaping your life. That's very important to draw the difference between. Everything is still very real, but it is a release,
That is life. I think the if you're escaping, the place you're escaping to when you do whatever that thing is, that should be life. And the other part should be the dessert. The main course should be what makes your heart flutter, what makes your knee bounce, what makes your head stop time and just love what you're doing. That should be the entree.
Yeah, no, I like that point of view too. And for me, that's the field, the water, the gym,
Yeah.
And another huge thing is living in the present. You talk about life, but too many people are too worried about what's happening next and what just happened. The only thing you can control in this world is what you are doing right now. As right now we're speaking, I control my next word, but I'm not thinking about the conversation we're going to have in 2 minutes or 5 minutes. I'm thinking about this conversation. I'm not thinking about what we said 5 minutes ago. I'm thinking about right now. And people are like, okay, well, how does that apply to my life? I have to plan for the future. I have to do all this. Listen to yourself. You're stressing yourself out. You're saying I have to do this, X, Y, Z, whatever it is. You're stressing yourself out. Take a step back, identify what's going on right here, right now, and learn to love that. Because what's next isn't promised. And what happened is in the past. Yeah. And a lot of people really struggle with that.
Yeah, I live in the future, man. The only times a close friend of mine that I met online, actually, he's kind of like that that guy at the gym that's bigger than you that you just spend hours talking to just because he's like this really cool dude, except I've never actually met him. And he said basically what you're saying right now, that the only two times I don't live in the future are when I'm in my happy places, when I'm on stage or on set or in the gym. And I thought about it and I go, that's true. I have a shitty workout every time I'm not thinking about right now. And when I'm thinking about the moment and the movement and exactly what I'm doing, I got a great workout. And when I'm acting, I can't afford to think, but kind of like you on the lacrosse field, I assume you can't afford to be thinking about what's going to happen next. Because if I'm thinking about what's after the show, I'm not me. I'm not the character anymore. I'm Emmett. And I can't do that. I have to be who I am in that moment. So that happiness factor and that finding that thing, whatever it may be, because like you just said the thing about the boats, that appeals to me a zero. Like nothing about that sounds fun to me. But that's the whole point. You can't look at what other people are doing and go, I want that. I mean, you can, but their happiness meter going up is not going to go up on your happiness meter by doing the same thing they're doing. You know what I mean?
I use those happy places as a reset. Every time I stop thinking about the here and now, pretty sure Kesney Chesney has a song called Here and Now. You know,
Love
I use
Kenny
that as a
Chesney.
reset too. It's whenever you just hear those words. It's kind of ingrained in my head now. I use those happy places as a reset. I use the gym as a reset. I use the lacrosse field as a reset. I use the boat, the water as a reset to live in the here and now. Because whenever I'm on those places, in those places, the only thing that matters to me is the here and now. So it becomes a subconscious reset. And that's really important. When you can't pull yourself out of the future or the past, and you're really having that mental breakdown, you're freaking out about tomorrow or the day after or last week. You're really freaking out. You can't go. You go to your happy place. Because the happy place will force you to reset, to think about the here and now. That's how I use my tools.
You know what doesn't make you think about the here and now?
What's that?
Social media. And I think social media does the opposite. I think it shows other people's lives and other people's highlight reel. And then you come along and go, I want that. I want that. But the only way to get that is to be thinking about how you're going to get that. And then you're not living in the moment. And what I really want to ask you is, I feel like most addictions have some sort of positive side to it, some type of possible reward, right? Like if you're a gambling addict, at least you have the idea that you could win. If you're a heroin addict, I assume heroin makes you feel some type of good way, but social media, I don't know, man. I'm not going to try heroin, but my point is that there's some reward, quote unquote, if you're listening to this on the audio version. By the way, it's available on Apple Podcasts. Anyway,
go listen.
Social media, I feel, is extremely addictive, but never do I turn off Instagram and go, I feel great. Never once. Never have I ever felt good after social media, except maybe if I get likes or follows. But what is it about social media that draws us in?
Well, that makes me want to ask you a question. Is your happiness a statistic?
No.
Is your happiness based off a statistic?
No.
So why do likes drive up your happiness?
I don't think they drive up my happiness. I think it just creates a momentary sense of belonging or popularity. And personally, to me, I'm not saying they make me feel happy. I was just saying that might be the only reason people are attracted to it. You know what I mean?
I've always stayed away from that popularity thing. You know,
you're one of the most popular people I know.
And that's what makes it ironic, is because people will come up to me like, hey, aren't you kind of considered one of the popular people? And I'm like, what do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean? don't you have a lot of friends, don't you? I'm like, yeah, I'm friends with everybody. Yeah, I think. But my point is, I've never considered the weight people put on popularity, people really put on their image. I've somehow tricked myself to not giving, I don't know if you're allowed to swear on,
You can curse. It's fine. I curse all the time.
not giving a fuck.
Yeah.
There's a book called The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck.
Mark Manson.
Read it. There's another book called Unfuck Yourself. Read it. It's a real thing.
Mm-hmm.
People seem to care way too much about things they cannot control. And when they think they can control it, they put all their energy into it and forget what's important. And social media drives that. It really does. Sure, I have 1,000 followers on Instagram. What does that mean to you? Nothing.
No,
Absolutely. And it shouldn't.
Yeah.
Ever. Now, I would say there's kind of an exception to that. The exception there are people make money off of their social media accounts, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have X amount of followers, you can do promotions and whatnot, make money. Great, good for you. Am I going to look at you like someone I would idolize because of a number or because of who you are? If you share a positive image to me, you show me I can respect you, I'll click the follow button. I will listen to what you have to say.
Yeah.
But if you are using your following and trying to drive a negative message, and I really just don't understand, I will try to understand because I never knock down someone's argument. All arguments are valid, opinions are valid.
Mm-hmm.
And I strongly believe in that. And yeah, there's times where someone will start saying something and I'll just cut them off. And I'm like, look, you got to look at this a different way. That's the only way I can help you out here is we got to look at this a different way. And the whole social media thing it's a complicated one because it was designed to be this communication device. And it's incredible because it does communicate so well. I'm able to keep in contact with my family on the East Coast. I'm the only part of my family on the West Coast. You know, my immediate family is the only part of my extended family on the West Coast. And it's weird. Like I feel like most families get to see each other and whatnot. I don't get to see them very often, maybe once a year. Social media helps me keep in touch. Awesome. My sister goes to school in Louisiana at Tulane, in New Orleans. I get to keep in touch with her over social media. I get to see what her life is kind of like at school. But it's exactly what you said. It's a highlight reel. And as soon as you are able to accept the fact that that's all it is, it's only the good. There is no bad. The bad is behind the scenes. As soon as you're able to accept that fact, people can use social media for good. But the reality is there are so many people out there that go on Instagram and they see these fitness models and they're scrolling. They're like, I want to look like that. I want to look like that. But your genetic makeup is not built to be like that. You're only shooting yourself in the foot.
They don't even look like that. That's
Right.
their peak lighting, peak diet. They don't look like that.
Right. And, you know, I had a conversation with one of my friends, and I hope I don't feel like I'm calling you out here. I'm not. I just want to bring light to a subject that I know a lot of people deal with. I'm not going to mention any names, but I had a buddy say to me, I'm struggling with my image. And I'm like, I'm sorry, man. What's going on? He's like, well, I'm really working out and I'm working out hard, but I feel like I'm not getting where I want to go. And I feel like you hear this a lot about people that work out hard and I'm sure you've said this to yourself before too, where you're working out. And I've probably said to myself too, you work out, you want to grow. That's the whole idea. But the issue is, and with social media, people compare themselves to people they're not.
Yeah.
And you can't do that. You will never be successful as a 5'6" little boy. You know, my peak weight is probably around 160 if I'm really bulking, right?
Yeah.
I can never hope to be a 6'3", 220-pound class A athlete. It's not going to happen. And I can't think like that.
No.
All that's doing is being unrealistic and driving a sword into my chest, tearing myself apart.
We ask little kids since kindergarten, since preschool, what do you want to be when you grow up? And once you download social media, it becomes, who do you want to be when you grow up? And the only acceptable answer to that question should be, I want to be me, but be better. Because that looking at other people, and I can't say a lot of other people do this and not include myself in this, because I myself fall into that trap sometimes. I do. I started my social media, and I, at this point, only post when I have something to say. When something emotionally jarred me and I make a poem or a rap or whatever you want to call it, and I post it because that's the only way I can express it. And my likes and follows have hovered and gone up and down. But I was also talking to a buddy of mine, actually on the podcast a couple of episodes ago, and he has a much larger following than me. But he built the following off of doing educational videos, right? Educational tips on how to lift, tips on how to gain muscle, lose weight, and such. And he built his following off of that, and now he's got a large following on TikTok and Instagram. And he goes, I want to start doing some more, personal stuff, personal life, like what my life is doing, but I don't know how to take it in that direction. And that's where he and I differ, because I have a tiny following, but I built it from the ground up out of what I believe in and only what I believe in. The idea of always being better. And sometimes being better is being worse, but it would have been better than what you would have done previously. If you're sick and it's not as good as the day you weren't sick, but you're still being better in the best way that you can. And I built it from that area. So now everything that I post has something to do with that. If it's a lift, 90% of the time, if I'm posting a lift, you're supposed to read the caption, because the caption is where the meat is. But I write poems, and I do these things because I do want to help as many people as I can, because in a way it helps me. Either releasing it or watching it back, I go, yeah, that's what I needed to hear. And if anyone else watches it and thinks the same thing, that's all I need. But sometimes I do get caught up in the, damn, why isn't my following growing? And then I have to think, why do I care? If 500 people are listening to me, that's 500 more people than I ever would have thought would listen to me. So I've washed my hands of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I mean, I remember when you first told me about this podcast, and as soon as I heard about it, I was ecstatic. And it wasn't because Emmett Butler is doing a podcast. It's because Emmett Butler is doing a podcast called Be Better. Be Better. The Be Better podcast.
Sir.
And I've always thought about starting a podcast. What's the worst that can happen, right? I never got around to it for many different reasons. But something about the Be Better podcast really resonated with me. And it's because so many people have that closed mindset versus that growth mindset. And a lot of people...
What do you mean by that?
So the closed mindset is always talking negative, right?
Okay. Like consciously talking negative, like trying to put others down, or just
I can't get there. I won't be able to do this. I can't do this. I can't do this. I can't do this, right? That's the closed mindset. Where the growth mindset is, I am going to do this. Not I will do this, but I am going to do this. Or I might do this. No, I will do this. I'm going to do this. There's a very... Self-talk is a huge part of the mental health thing. And, we'll go with the mental health thing. It's a huge part of the mental health thing. And self-talk might be all of the mental health for all we know, right?
Yeah.
How we talk to ourselves is very important. And if we give ourselves a closed versus growth mindset, if we're on a sports field and we run off of complaining about something, you've just taken that moment in time and made it a negative moment in time. All right. Then you do it again. Here's another moment in time. Now this moment in time is negative too. But if then we approach it with the growth mindset versus the closed mindset, the growth mindset allows us to take, okay, we dropped the ball. Now we're going to transition into defense. Now I'm going to play the best defense I can possibly play, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to get the ball back. And that mistake I made before, I'm not going to make that same mistake again.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay. I see.
There's a way we talk to ourselves. And even when you can tell when people have a closed mindset, because they usually say it under their breath too. They don't keep it internally most of the time. It's like, have you ever been in a play and someone messed up a line, comes off the stage after their scene and goes, I can't believe I messed that up. I can't believe, no.
Yes.
And I'm sure you see it all the time. That's the closed mindset. And there are people that are able to take that mindset and apply it into their lives every day and actually make something good out of it. Props to them, but I don't think it's any way to live. I really don't. I think you have to approach things in life, like we said earlier, as learning experiences, learning from the lows and riding the highs. Right? You make a mistake in your matinee and you have another show at night. Okay.
Not only that, mistakes in a show force improv, and in real life, a mistake forces you to now learn, readapt, and are you going to be better? Are you going to carry on the rest of the show? Or are you going to play the best defense and end up making a pick six in the game and you're going to be awesome? Like, how are you going to? And now this is where I have a hard time, because I'm always trying to think in the future. And if you always try to think in the future, why is everything shaking? Sorry. If you always try to think in the future, you won't be able to make that game-winning play when you readjust. You know, it's like when people say interviews. The best interviews, when you really get to the meat and the juice and the part of the chicken wing that's like right at the end of the bone, it's like the best bite. You only get to that from the question within the question within the question, because now people are opening up. If you only prepared everything on a sheet and just went boom, 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 you wouldn't get to that juicy meat. That sounded kind of pause. Go say something.
I will say something. And it's same thing, like related to sports, right? We make, I don't know how many people out there know the sport of lacrosse, but think of it as soccer or anything. You make a mistake, right?
Yes.
When people look at coaching and recruiting for sports, they look at it one way. They want a player that's coachable. Coachable, that's huge. That's their number one on their list. They don't care if you're 6'3", 200 pounds. They want a coachable player. Then they might go to athletics, but then they go to heart. Coachable, athletic, and full of heart. If you make a mistake on that field, your coach tells you to do something, and you go do that 110%. That is not only being coachable, that is playing with heart, and you're using your athleticism, regardless if you made a mistake. The people that can bounce back from a mistake are the people that win in life. The people that take a loss and complain about it are the people that are the losers in this world. Losers lose. Winners learn.
You're just like a motivational booklet, aren't you? No, it does. Because if you're coachable, that shows that you're flexible in real life. If you have heart on the field, that means you care. If you have heart in the office place. I saw this TikTok the other day, and then I deleted TikTok after this one, because this guy was on there and he was doing one of those reaction things where the person said, tell me something that you wish you knew at the beginning of your life, but you didn't find out till later, and you want to share with the rest of the world. And he did a little cutaway.
Bitcoin.
No, well, that's probably a good one. But he said, I wish someone had taught me never to do more than what the company asked for, because it's never going to help you. I wish someone had taught me, because if you weren't asked to come in that day and someone needs you to come in, don't come in that day. It's not going to help you in the long run. Don't stay those extra hours. It's not going to help you. It's not going to, they don't care about your well. And he basically was a rant along those lines. And I'm sitting there thinking, and that's a loser mindset.
Sounds like a
That's
closed mindset. Yeah.
that's a loser mindset. I mean, I hate calculus, but I will not drop it. And I took it not because I give a flying rat's fuck about calculus, because I wanted to take something to prove to myself I will try to get through it to the best of my ability.
That's hard.
That's no, and because and I feel like Mr. Clay, shout out to Mr. Clay. But I feel like this is a flaw with our education system, because I feel like a guy like Mr. Clay, if it was up to him, he wouldn't care if you ended the class with a 20% or a 0%. As long as you stuck with it and you tried your hardest, he would pass you. And I feel like that's how all schooling should be done. But it's not, and that's an alternate reality. So,
I mean, I'm in a position right now where I'm living every day with a headache. I haven't been able to go outside and do what I normally do every day. I haven't been able to go to the gym for over a month. Haven't been able to pick up a lacrosse stick in over a month. Haven't been able to go on my boat. I can't drive. They took away my car keys, you know. But I can't do any homework. I can't focus on school. I can't sit down at a piece of paper and work for 30 minutes straight. But for some reason, I go into Mr. Clay's class and a smile is on my face. With my earplugs in, my sunglasses on, my hood over my head, my mask up. No one knows who this kid is except he's smiling underneath all of that. And, you know, it's not because I'm smiling because I'm doing calculus.
no one's
It's the environment. Mr. Clay creates such a good environment for learning.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, it does get loud in that class sometimes, and my earplugs don't always do the trick. So you might see me taking my Tylenol or my Advil, stepping outside. But it's just, like you said, the school system, it has its flaws, but the teachers that create a good learning environment are the teachers setting up their kids for success. And the teachers like Clay, who don't really care how good of a grade you have in the class, but that you're working hard and you're trying, those are the teachers teaching an open mindset, a growth mindset, not that closed mindset. Mr. Rissa, my physics teacher, is the same way. He makes the grading scale super easy in that class. You know, I say that relatively because the class is pretty difficult. You know, I think a 70 is still a B. 70% of the class is a B. A B minus, 69% might be the last percent. 85% is an A, and he curves all the tests still. So you get the class is curved, the tests are curved, and he will drop your worst test grade at the end of the semester, and replace it with your final grade. And you're sitting here like, oh, that must be so easy. Yeah, you know, it helps.
Yeah, but it's physics, so
I love the class, and I'm so enthralled with physics, and I just love the idea of mechanics and the way this world works, that even with what people might consider a boring lecture, the learning environment, even though we can't do the hands-on stuff like we used to be able to, it's just so accepting to the growth and open mindset, where I don't really care how good you do on a test. I'll support you. I'll do whatever I can to make sure that grade stays at a grade your parents will be okay with. Your parents. As long as you are learning and enjoy what you're learning and you're pushing through what might be hard for you, I support you. And those teachers that do that, and I have great teachers all the way around this year. I don't think I've really had a teacher I've had to complain about. But the people that are setting us up for the future are the people teaching us that growth mindset.
And those are the people that, in my opinion, should be teachers. But this is where I get very frustrated. And this, if you go on my Instagram, I recently made a whole little poem / rap thing about this, and I was very angry in it because to me, that's what teaching should be. And when we learn about these state tests, with a 4.5 hour state testing we're going to be doing on Monday and the following Monday, that's how schools decide whether you get funding or not, correct?
I have
To
no
a
idea.
degree. Okay, well, the teacher that I got in a heated argument about COVID with the other day, anyway, this teacher, I was asking why we need to take the state test. And he
English
said that
teacher question mark?
no,
Oh.
no. I love English. I love Miss Gaylord. Shout out to Miss Gaylord. And Mr. Zeddies. Shout out to Mr. Zeddies. But
Mr. Zeddy's a great teacher.
phenomenal. I didn't even know it was an AP class because he didn't even care about the test until like the last week. But the state testing apparently is, if you do well on the state testing, it shows your teachers are doing a proper job at teaching the proper curriculum. And then if you pass said state test, now the government decides that you can get more funding. And this is how they make sure people are teaching the right way. And this is how schools get their funding. So I'm sitting there thinking, okay, so a lower income school, like let's say in Compton, right? I'll be honest with you. If I was that teacher, I wouldn't give a flying fuck what my kid learned about the solar system or about writing an essay. I would want to make sure that kid knew that he can find something, or she can find something, or they, non-binary beings, can find something that makes them feel happy and that teaches them the growth mindset. And if you're telling me that if those kids, that education on how to live, on how to succeed, doesn't translate to a 4.5 hour test, that school's not going to get funding, and that just doesn't sit well with me at all.
So my argument was always that we weren't taught life skills. We're not taught finance. We're not taught the importance of debt. Weird, right? Importance of debt. What do you mean by importance of debt? There's such thing as good debt. Paying everything in cash is not always a good idea. Credit, developing a line of credit. That's what's important in life. The life skills, finance, being financially literate is not taught in the public high schools. That was always my little pet peeve with the whole school system. But we have this conversation about our teachers and the open mindset. And I think that's more important. I really do. I think learning to want to learn is more important than being taught.
Yeah. Because
that's what sets you up for the future.
How many people, and I'm not trying to put myself in the outsider box, but in a sense I am, because I found my passion freshman year of high school, and I've known exactly what I've wanted to do since then. I found out I wanted to do a podcast too, and a little other things come along the way, but I know I am going to act. And if I don't act, then maybe I'll direct, but I want to act. Like there is no doubt in my mind that is what I will be doing. And I will probably be doing this podcast for the rest of my life because I love to learn from other people and see how we aren't all that different and we can all be better. But there are a lot of people that this education system, and I don't say school, because I have no problems with school. I love the idea that people can find a community, they can go to school dances, they can find a sport, I like school a lot. I don't like the way this education system is structured, because how many people have made it through elementary school? Once you get past elementary school, middle school is going to rock. You get to middle school doesn't rock for anybody. You will never look back and say middle school was fun. No human being has ever done that. And then you get through middle school, they're like, high school's better. High school's, you'll love high school. You get to high school, and then you got to get to a college. You got to go to college. Oh, okay, I got to go to college. I'm in college. I'm 4 years down the road. I'm out in the debt, but I made it to college. I've got my piece of paper, and I shake that man's hand as I walk across the stage, and now I'm a waiter. And I don't know what I want to.
Making minimum wage.
I have no idea what I want to do with my life. Where did that person? Hopefully they find someone they can marry that they love, that guides them, or settle down with, that they guide them in the way they want to go. But for a lot of people, they get down that road because that's the road that's taught to them. And now what? They don't find passion. You don't get taught to find passion. Passion isn't something you're born with. Passion is something you need to find. So the idea of this one track, just get on the track. And if you jump off that train, you're probably going to die, because most people die when they jump off a train while it's moving. But a couple people survive. And
Jump off a train.
what?
Please never jump off a train.
Yeah, no, please don't jump
We're
off.
not advertising jumping off trains.
My point is that a couple of people might survive that, and that's the person that becomes the Kanye West that dropped out of school because he found his passion at a young age. That's the person that becomes Emmett Butler that doesn't go down that path and ends up succeeding. But most people think, because it's set up, that the idea of jumping off of a train is probably going to kill you. So you need to stay along that train. But then that train stops in the middle of freaking Little Rock, Arkansas, and you are just stuck there now. So what are you going to do? Right?
I would try to gather some money and buy a plane ticket back.
Yeah, but you're missing my analogy here, man.
No, I just never been to Little Rock, Arkansas.
Dumbass.
I would explore a little bit. It's the open mindset. You gotta learn your surroundings, and then you get a plane ticket back.
Yeah.
That wasn't an analogy. That's just what I would do.
Oh, I was trying to find the analogy there because
No, there was nothing there. Nothing poetic or.
Yeah. Yeah, nothing to add to that. It's all right, guys. On that note, I hope you enjoyed the Be Better podcast. Make sure you buy a plane ticket back from Little Rock, Arkansas. As always, make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe. Be yourself, but be better.